This is a dumb question, but is there any likelihood of non-Western countries actually enjoying the freedom that Western countries promote? I could totally imagine some hijabied up Muslim trad wife looking at a Western woman with tattoos and dyed hair and just being freaked and weirded out by it. Are there cultural differences that go above the need for freedom and give people an icky and undesirable feeling? So here's like a question that's really hard to answer, okay? That I think is like emblematic of that question, or the concept you're raising in that question. When women wear makeup at home, are they wearing it because men want them to wear it, or are they wearing it because they want to wear it and they think it makes them look good? I think that is a question that I think is incredibly difficult to answer. I think the first thought is women put on makeup because it makes them more attractive to men. That seems to be pretty obvious. It does. Men give that feedback, and that's true, right? But then the second thing is, okay, well, sometimes women will put on makeup to go hang out with other women, or just when they're at home, sometimes a little bit, because they think it makes them look good. Okay, well, maybe they just do it for themselves. And then the next question is, or the next part of that is, well, what if they only think it makes them look better because men tell them it makes them look better? But then the next question is like, okay, well, sometimes women will hang out with other women and wear makeup and be critical of other women's makeup. So it seems like are they doing it because they don't think that women will be as attractive to a man, or because there's some aesthetic they're appealing to? And then are they only rating those aesthetics because of what men like? I think that question is incredibly difficult to answer. I don't know if there is a singular answer to that question, or if it's a confluence of different things. So when you look at something like, would a woman in one country look at a woman in another country who has more freedom and think, ick, I don't want that freedom? They might think that, but then the question is, well, are they thinking that because that's what they've been socially programmed to think, or is there some other thing going on there? Do they even think that? I don't know. I think that's a really hard question to answer. Destiny, revert it. Would you like things only because you get validation from women? Think about the car thing. There's a couple weird things going on there. So one, I'm not a good example to use because I'm so unique and special. But the second thing is that I think that it's changed a bit over my lifetime, for sure. It's changed a lot, actually. But I think men have the ability to navigate the world a bit more autonomously than women do, in that men can do things that make men feel good or that men like, whereas women historically have been viewed more through the lens of like, what pleases my dick, right? Yeah. So I feel like women can do things for women's sake, and obviously that's been a value that's been changing quite rapidly over the past few decades. But I think we still have kind of like the social norms in general that like when men do things, a man can go out and do something like on his own for himself. But like when women do things, it's still, I think this is kind of, you're referring to like the male gaze. Things are still viewed through the perspective like, okay, well, a woman is doing this, but like why? Like for which man is she doing this for? It's like a general cultural phenomenon that I think is still pretty deeply embedded in us. Although again, it has been changing a lot, yeah. Do men like cars, or do they pick cars to impress women? Depends on the market you're in. Here in Miami, it's to impress women, but it doesn't actually impress women. It's just, they just get impressed because of the price tag. But also the women here are horrible. But that's because the men here are horrible. Everybody here is horrible. I live in Miami Beach. The people here are aliens. Hassan is still reacting to you? Over what today? It's called panopticon. Women put on makeup because of the subconscious perception that society is watching them. It's self-correction through indirect coercion. Even if they're alone, they wear clothes that look good or makeup because societal expectations are so ingrained. Same for men, to be honest. I guess the question would be, well, like, do men, like left alone in a forest, what would you do? But it's kind of absurd to separate man from men. I mean, people. It's kind of absurd to separate people from their society completely, because I mean, like, social conditioning is in a way biologically baked into us, right? Like faculty for language, and then like the mirroring that we do of like people's facial expressions and all that. These are things that are baked into humans. So to be like, well, what would a human do without like other humans around? Then that's their true biology. Well, that's like saying like, how good would a car be with no tires? Like, that's truly the car. And it's like, well, a car is designed to have tires on it. Like the fastest car in the world won't move without tires. So it's kind of a dumb question. So asking like, well, what would a human do if there were no other people around? Well, like, I feel like half of our humanity is baked into our social life. Like, that's why we have civilization and shit. It's because of our biological capability to communicate with each other and consider ideas from each other and stuff, right? I think you may be overthinking it. Same as men like to see themselves with certain beard and hairstyles. Women like certain hair and makeup styles I'd agree that some do it for the attention it gets, but as a society, we made enough progress that many do it for themselves. I super disagree. I think we are very, very, very pressured into appearing and looking a certain way, right? Like this, I think this comes out when we look at like things like plastic surgery. Like, I don't think people are getting generally cosmetic surgery because of just for themselves. I think it's generally because they're reflecting on how other people view them, or how they think other people view them. It's reflected in all the men today doing like TRT or like roiding up. I don't think they're doing it because they're trying to like win a competition. I think it's because they have like an obsession with how they think other people view them. I think a really good example of this actually is, you know how like women will meme all the time online. I think women know the answer to this. Do they? When women meme all the time about not having pockets on their clothes, and they'll say like, oh my God, I wore my boyfriend's pants once and he had such huge pockets and oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, why don't we, blah, blah. The reason why women's clothing tends to not have pockets is because it messes up the silhouette of the outfit. That's why women's clothes generally won't, and they don't, because women wouldn't buy it because it would look weird. It wouldn't look good on you if it was less form-fitting, if you put big pockets in. For men, we usually don't give a about like our thighs like that. It's just not a big thing. We don't care. If you put pockets somewhere, it's fine. Or the silhouette for a man is like the shoulders. It's more focused on a different area. That's the reason why. Otherwise, pockets would be on everything. But it's not because of, yeah. A lot of people in the red pill spaces who used veneers. Oh, yeah, those are popular as well, yeah. The roiding prevalence is interesting because generally women's most desirable bodies in men is pretty much Brad Pitt Fight Club, which is super easy to achieve naturally. Yeah, I think because of like male gaze stuff, there's like an interesting thing that happens in, I would have to think about this more, by the way, but there's an interesting thing that happens when men will talk to other men about what women want and won't believe or watch women's actions to figure out what women want. And then men get into a world where they hype up to other men what women want without actually considering what women are looking for at all. I guess actually this is emblematic when yesterday we watched a Red Pill video where Mybrin was saying like, oh yeah, you can't listen to what women want. They lie. And it's like, it's not that people lie, it's sometimes people are bad at expressing it, you know? Or people don't realize why they like the things they do. But men and women both have those issues. If a bunch of buff guys started complaining that they couldn't get women, how many rungs down would you go before you thought, maybe your body is just undesirable for most women? How many? I don't know. I think they would probably make, I think depending on what it is, I think they would make excuses. But at some point, you have to reconcile with reality. It'll happen eventually, right? Yeah. Straight women actually turned into Adolf Hitler when they were asked to consider their boyfriend having been intimate with another man. I think one of the best men's rights talking points is how absolutely disgusting women are to bi men. I feel like this doesn't happen unless you're in like pretty hardcore communities. Unless maybe it's just different types of people you hook up with or select for. I don't think outside, unless I'm in the like Red Pill Studio Central, this weird like obsession with like guys being bi or whatever, it seems to be like implanted onto these women from the guys who are like insanely insecure about their sexuality. I've never met women that do this ever. From high school to college to my time now, the only people I've ever met are women that say this like in the Red Pill Studios. But maybe there's like a group of women there's like outside of my bubble of